Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominic, creator of businessmiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 84. HSE feature with personal branding consultant Khayra Bundakji. Welcome to this Business Miracles HSE feature episode. I am just so excited to be featuring Khayra Bundakji as a member of the Business Miracles community and as a successful, highly sensitive entrepreneur. Khayra, aside from being a very valued member of the Business Miracles community, works with solopreneurs and professionals in new fields to help them get clear about who they are, who they want to reach, and what they want to say. She's collected work experience since she was 16, and a fun fact, she was a telemarketer, and now has the complete set of tools to help her clients build their personal brand. But she works a little differently. Instead of charging for a bunch of tools and a plan, she walks her ideal clients through a process of discovery and learning in order to support them with building and managing their personal brand. An active leading player in regional new media, Khayra co-founded a premier podcasting company in Saudi and produced several podcasts while she was there. She's led U-Turn Entertainment's adoption of insights-driven content and has assisted in starting multiple support groups that teach and coach empowerment. It is such an honor to be a part of Khayra's HSE journey, and I am so pleased to be sharing this episode with you today. You will want to listen in as I talk with Khayra to hear how before she joined the Business Miracles mentoring programs, she didn't realize that where she was giving a lot of her attention and focus actually could be a business. She was volunteering her time instead of generating income, in addition to a full-time job. Now, she has begun the transition into being self-employed, full-time, doing what she loves. Khayra, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here.
I am so glad you are here and so looking forward to our conversation for today. So before we dive in, let's just right from the get-go have you pronounce your full beautiful name yourself, because I know that the way that I pronounce it doesn't sound nearly as beautiful. So please share with us your full name.
I am Khayra Bundakji, but I also go by Khayra and KK.
Okay. You're so generously accommodating, and your name is so very beautiful. And maybe I will make it a goal to be able to master saying it as beautifully as you do. So you are in the Business Miracles core mentoring program, and you've been a member of the Business Miracles community since January 2019, I believe. And there has just been so much growth and change in you and for you since you joined the community and you and I first connected. So I'd love to start just by having you share a little bit more about that time when you and I initially connected, and, you know, what was going on for you, and did you understand that you were highly sensitive? Bring us into that moment when Business Miracles and the understanding of what it means to be an HSE first entered your world.
So at that exact time in December 2018, I was graduating from my MBA program with a focus on entrepreneurship, and I was feeling really anxious of what the next step held, how to align with myself, and how to figure out how to do things from a place of faith. And this is really funny because some context, I was listening to the Business Miracles podcast for 2 years before I finally reached out and made the move. And I was reading a lot of research about how faith and religion and any form of faith, even though we connect it to religion, is actually based on a feeling of calmness with lack of control. So I knew I needed something, and I was really resistant to your teachings at first. I was like, what is this lady talking about? Where I have to have a spiritual side of my business. Who would even buy that? But by 2018 in December, I recognized that I was being impacted a lot more than I thought from the podcast. And it was just a really easy way to click on that clarity call button.
I love this. So I love that you have been listening to the podcast for like almost 5 years now, and or maybe 4 is better math, and that now here you and I are having a conversation on the podcast. And I love that you were so resistant, but you kept listening.
Yes. Because there were nuggets. So the way I was calming myself down was I was saying, okay, I can take what I want and leave what I don't want. But slowly, after hearing it, I think you were releasing on a weekly basis. After hearing it so much, I recognized that I started doing a lot of the things that you were saying. And I was like, oh, okay.
That is so great. That really is great. So good for you with being willing to accept the nuggets. And I was going to say, obviously, something, was connecting at a deeper level for you to be able to stay with it. But it also speaks to so much of what I know about you, which is, this real sense of tenacity and follow through and resilience. But I just love that it was also in the face of all of this resistance. So you spoke about the impact of the podcast, and I imagine that has, gone even deeper for yourself being a part of the Business Miracles mentoring program. So I'd love for you to speak a little bit about that. How have the Business Miracles teachings impacted your business and your growth over the last year or just, overall since you first started listening those years ago?
I have had my business in its current form where I help people create websites or get on social media or whatever form it takes for 10 years, actually. And I never recognized that it was a business. So that was a huge impact, the recognition that what I'm doing can have its own profit and loss and it is its own entity. So that was really big. And I always was doing it part-time aside from really ambitious full-time jobs. And I was always a pusher. So the biggest impact Business Miracles had and being a part of the community and having all the coaching around it was being able to recognize when was I taking actions out of a sense of pushing and when was I doing it because it was going to help my business. I have gone from being someone that would work until 2 a.m. and then only stop when she got sick. And when I would go on vacation, I would get sick, of course, because my body had to recover. And that was the only chance I would give it. To now, I have a 2-day full time off weekend. It's crazy.
I love it. I don't love that was your experience, but I love that you're giving such a really spot on description, of the HSE coping mechanism of pushing as I teach it. And for myself, because I'm also a recovering pusher, and anyone else listening who can identify with the coping mechanism of pushing, which if you're not sure what that is, you can definitely find it on many of the other podcasts.
only us would appreciate the value of actually emphasizing 2 days off a week. that is a huge accomplishment, and that is a huge celebration, and really, really a very, very big deal. And especially because I've watched you with the process and progression, and that same resistance that we were talking about before, like, really reared its head, and you would be like, no, I'm not going to take a full day off, or I can't see how that's possible. And now that we have you in this beautiful place where, you can really have those solid 2 days every week, not even just once in a while, but every week.
I will be transparent. I don't like it all the time. Like, I'll have pockets of pure enjoyment. But thankfully, I have a thread on the forum, so whenever I get very uncomfortable with the fact that I don't have to do anything, I'll just jump to that thread. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I bash the keyboard a lot, and I put a lot of letters next to each other just out of pure frustration. So it's still in progress as far as me enjoying it full time, but I definitely recognize the pockets of enjoyment I get from it.
I have a huge smile on my face. And I was just going to say, I remember just recently on the forum that we had an exchange where you were asking about if you could use time off to study the business miracles teaching. And so it's all a process, and you're progressing beautifully. I also really appreciate that you spoke to, when you first started with the Business Miracles mentoring program, you didn't realize that, where you were giving a lot of your attention and focus actually could be a business. So there was a lot that you were doing that was more of like volunteer in addition to your full-time job. And, you have really just been such an exemplary demonstration of a member who takes the teachings and has really adapted them to work for her, because you really put a lot of the teachings in place even as you were working full time. And now you've really begun the transition you're in the process of the transition of being self-employed full time. So, I really appreciate that, one, again, that you've done such a beautiful job with recognizing how these teachings and the tools are really applicable for wherever a highly sensitive is in their, process and journey of becoming an entrepreneur. But I'd love to hear a specific teaching that has really been most impactful for you, as you have been in your mentoring program and in this process of transition.
Definitely the money mindset, two parts of it. So I fit in the archetype of the scullery maid, which makes sense as a pusher. And I recognized how I didn't like to price things, and I would always go into this habit of, whenever I would work part-time, I would work part-time just because I had an excuse to give a really low price because I was getting a salary. And I had the excuse of giving that low price because I can not give my clients the full attention that they deserve, because I could always say, oh, well, I'll push really hard for little money. And I ended up pushing anyway. So I don't know why I kept thinking that the lower price was going to give me leeway to have buffer or whatever it was that I was thinking I was doing. Being in a mindset of recognizing that money is a representation of value that I'm exchanging with my client was mind-blowing. And being able to recognize that I do have feelings about spending. I do have feelings about receiving. I do have feelings about talking about it. I had always kind of pushed it aside to the extent that, honestly, I went into my bachelor's in computer science and art. I changed majors. I did it just for the fact that I didn't have to do accounting. I have been resisting for so long. And when I was started listening to you in 2016, that's when I co-founded the podcast network, and we were making absolutely no money. I was burning through all of my savings that I had collected. And that's why I ended up doing an MBA. And it worked out at a great time because you would always talk about money from a spiritual side. When I was doing the MBA, I used those teachings to understand and like kind of take away the charge from it. And then finally, when I got into the program and I heard the full money mindset course, I understood where all of this was coming from. And I understood, and now thankfully, I at least have the ability to measure what's going on with my money and my business.
Well, I mean, this is just, incredible. The money mindset training, it's, so valuable, not only because I created it from everything that I really went through myself to really change and shift my own relationship with money, to shift my mindset from, having declared bankruptcy to now, being a consistent steward of a seven-figure mission for multiple years. And it's there for every single HSE who's a member of any of our Business Miracles mentoring programs for the exact reason that you have just so beautifully spoken to, because we all come, to our HSE journey carrying with us unconscious tapes and unconscious beliefs and unconscious habits and patterns when it comes to money, and the commitment to really untangling them so that we can be in a different place is really such a necessary part of the HSE journey. So again, that's why it's part of every mentoring program. And I'm just so glad to hear how you've really used it. And it's really made a difference. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that. Like, what are some of the tangible financial results that you've seen for yourself, because you've put this money mindset training to work for you?
So it's probably not what you're asking, but I'm pulled to share that I genuinely know where every single bit of my money is going, which is huge. That is something that has never happened. I was working at a huge conglomerate in a really great position, and I finished all my savings only 1 year after I left. And I didn't have that many costs in the first place, but it was just something that ran away. So the fact that in my business, I know where my money is going is itself such a huge, crazy feat. But also my pricing and the money that I'm getting, I have a plan. I have a way every 30 days. I know exactly how much I need in order to keep the lights on. The tangible results are a bit less because I left my full-time job in January. So I guess I don't know how to answer this with a number, but the fact that I know what my diary and how to segment every 30 days, that's been very tangible to me. Does that answer the question?
Yes, and it's beautiful.
Okay, cool.
And absolutely so valuable, because it is so important to absolutely, as part of a really healthy, strong relationship with money, to be willing to have a connection to that money and to really understand, what's coming in and what's going out. And I would really share, based on what it is that, I know about you and your journey and so much of what you've changed since being part of the mentoring programs through through your full-time employment and now shifting into self-employment is, I'm honestly not sure if you would have been in a position to so solidly really begin to make the transition for yourself, into being fully self-employed without, going into that pushing that we were speaking about, because the unconsciousness, and particularly around money and what's in and out is absolutely going to fuel that coping mechanism of pushing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they really go hand in hand and have put you in a position to make this transition into being self-employed without being in that coping mechanism or a high state of anxiety. So absolutely, for sure, that is a huge, valuable, tangible, and I'm thrilled to hear that, because it really is going to have you in a position to make that transition so smoothly for yourself. So, let's talk about that. What is next for you, Khayra? What do you see coming down the pike in the next year as an HSE?
So I have so many ideas for my business, and I have a cute 3-month program for people to come in with their personal branding issues. I work with them on inner and outer actions for them to take to be more visible to their dream audiences and to understand their dream audiences. And I have plans to keep on doing workshops, and I take clients in this program, and I also am open to other forms that it can take, especially now people are more open to online things. So I'm excited to see what that has to offer too. I'm not sure yet though. And for the first time in my life, just to be transparent with you about what's going on in my head, I have always been the type of person to say my full version of a vision. And then as soon as it comes out of my mouth, I have this intense need, or I had this intense need to make it happen yesterday. So that's why I'm stretching a bit. I'm being a bit more open and a bit more at peace with the fact that whatever version it comes out as, it's always going to be about creating value for my clients so that they can give the message to their dream audiences about what's important to them.
That's awesome. That is so great. You really have been taking in the teaching. So as we get ready to wrap, what would you say to other HSEs who are listening, and any advice that you have for them, and, especially others who are not yet fully self-employed, but also, in that process of making a transition for themselves?
I think the most important takeaway, so I'm a woman of science, right? I have always dealt with situations from a very black and white binary perspective, especially after I got into computer science. So the resistance I felt of understanding that faith itself, not faith in something, not the thing that people are telling you to have faith in, but literally faith itself, has opened up my eyes to a way of living where it doesn't have to hurt. It doesn't have to be a struggle internally. We already have enough struggles with, and I won't call it struggles, let's say challenges. We already have challenges coming at us from the outside. There doesn't need to be a challenge internally while you're trying to find your purpose or answer your calling. That's the biggest thing.
Beautiful, really beautiful. And Khayra, where can listeners find out more about you and the journey that you're on and this vision that is peacefully unfolding?
It's crazy just hearing you say that. They can find me at khayrab.com. And I'll spell it out because it's an interesting name, KHAYRAB.com. And I'm on most social media platforms as Khayra B.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you so much. I've so enjoyed the opportunity to connect with you in this way. And again, I really acknowledge you for all the ways that you've really been engaging in the teachings and the tools and everything that's transpired. And I'm so honored to be a continued part of your journey, and excited to see the specifics and the way that the vision is meant to manifest from here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Being on this podcast was a business miracle itself. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.